Welcome to the beautiful city of Riverside on the Tira. Today we're at the Citrus State Historic Park here in beautiful Van Buren. And you can see here, this is what old Riverside would have looked like on the Tira. And once again, you're invited to come along and join us on another fun example of California Food School when we explore the citrus industry worldwide in Riverside, California on the Tira. Spencer, come on. Our journey begins way back in time. 5000 BC has entered the chat, and the citron, what you see here today, was the original concept for what turned out to be the lemon, the lime, the kumquat, the what else? The grapefruit and the orange on the Tira. And throughout time, you can see here with our zooming in capabilities at top maximum capacity level, you can read for yourself where the citrus industry took shape throughout the world and ended up here ultimately in beautiful Riverside, California, which at one point was the citrus capital of the world. Just think about that concept for a second. And we're gonna run through the museum here at the California State Park, the Citrus State Park on the Tira. Here you see what the citron would have looked like 5,000 years ago, and very different. As you can see, these exhibits here, we go back in time, we're at 500 BC now, and you can see that the citrus travels now have started to grow. People are taking notice, and they're starting to use it as a form of bartering. And you can see the concept of money as well played a vital role in the Central Asian trade, ultimately making its way down into Riverside, California. Here you can see what old-timey life would have been like in the old world, where very different, but very much the same on the Tira. We have made it to 570 through 900 AD. And so now you can see the times have changed. Religion has now came. It's very candid. It is taking shape, very different. And you can see here, the first half of the millennium, the Arab Empire expanded west into the Mediterranean, bringing the citrus industry even closer to California, Riverside. You can see here what the expansion of the Arab Empire, how they transported. This is the durable dhow, the classic Arabian vessel that has been used for thousands of years on the Tira and played a very major role in the Arab culture and transported up to 200 tons of cargo. 200 tons of cargo. 27 BC through 476 AD, the Roman orangeries began greenhouse culture. Today's modern greenhouses culture evolved from ancient Roman orangeries, huge heated structures that protected delicate plants from the frost, and ultimately it turned out to what we see and know as the orange or the citrus industry today. And it all started here in the Roman Empire as well. You can see the Crusaders reintroduced the citrus to Europe, and you can read here how the citrus industry is starting to take a very different shape. People are now starting to consume the product, they're mutating it. 1493 to 1575, the citrus crosses the Atlantic. It has now made its way into the United States. The European Renaissance triggered the age of discovery and sent explorers scurrying in search of a new trade route to the Orient quicker, and so they crossed the Atlantic. And now you can see here the oranges entering the chat, making it one step closer to Riverside, California on the Tira. Elizabeth Tidbits, remember that name, Elizabeth Tidbits from Brazil, which introduced what we know today as the navel orange. And it came, and the United States agriculture accepted it, and it changed the citrus industry as we know it today. In fact, one of the original trees that Elizabeth Tidbit brought to the United States is in Riverside over on Magnolia and Arlington. And as you know, Hill Hauser did do an episode on that. And so if you guys wanted to check that out, Feel free. There's a big, beautiful plaque there. It's a National Historic Landmark or a California State Landmark. You can see here that the citrus reaches Central and South America as well. And it's starting to make its way around the world now. Beautiful, beautiful historic bells on the Tira, and you can see these are, that looks like the San Gabriel Mission. Oh, that's from the Mission Inn. Okay, so these are from the Mission Inn on the Tira, and you can see here, living under the bell, the mission bells called resident Native Americans to work and prayer throughout. While some might see the mission bells as objects of faith and important symbols of local heritage for the Native Americans living in the missions, these bells were a sign of the Padres. Spanish missions were traumatic places where Native Americans were placed to abandon their heritage and culture, cramped, dirty, dusty, led to injury, disease, death. It was nothing, like we know today. Many contemporary Native Americans object to the use of mission bell symbols. These bells remind them of how their ancestors suffered and died on the missions, and how this history is still so often obscured and romanticized by nostalgia from an imaginary past. And you can see here with our zooming in capabilities, the natives here talking to, I don't know if that's Junipero Serra. You can see even then how important the citric industry was as it reached California. In 1542, Spanish explorers became the first Europeans to claim the land that we call California. And so it was not until 1769, however, that the Spanish government sent missionaries and soldiers to establish and occupy a series of missions, forts, and settlements in what was then an isolated outpost. At the missions, they founded Father Junipero Serra, who we mentioned earlier on the Tira. And he was a Franciscan friar who brethren planted citrus trees from Mexico and carefully guarded their sweet golden fruit. As you know, Riverside, a very prominent staple in California. Although we didn't have a mission of our own, I don't think. We had the Mission Inn, but it was very different than the California missions that started down in the Mission San Luis Rey, going all the way up Santa Barbara, San Gabriel, San Fernando, San Luis Obispo, San Francisco, and so on and so forth. Riverside, although we do have a mission there, and it was built in the architect of the design of a mission, it wasn't really a mission. It was made to look like one, but that doesn't take away from the fact that we have so much history, even involving the Mission Inn. You see the beautiful bells here on the Tira, and just very, very historic as well. And you can see here the Mission San Gabriel, founded in 1771, eventually supplied the orange stock that started our state citrus industry when Henry Miller produced and sketched the citrus fourth mission, and what he called its orchards were full of fruit. You can see here, this is the San Gabriel Mission, very, very beautiful on the Tira, and you can see the groves of citrus trees. Father Junipero Serra here on the Tira as well. The California Gold Rush has entered the chat. 1841 to 1870, the real gold of our state was in fact the citrus industry, and continues to be. And you can see here just how prominent the citrus industry was and is to this day. And so if you wanted to get a feel of what it was like to be surrounded by orchards and fruit and education on all things citrus, well, you can come here to the California State Citrus Historic Park in beautiful Riverside. We're off of Van Buren, right here on Dufferin, and you can see here what these beautiful, this is Riverside, you guys. This is Riverside, California. And now you see Miss Elisa Tidbits, who we did a California Foods Gold episode. Now we get to put a picture to the story, and there she is, ladies and gentlemen. Mrs. Elisa Tidbits is generously considered the founder of California's citrus industry, having planted the first Washington navel orange trees in Riverside, in your hood, and with the family's dishwater until irrigation water from the ditch became available. So just to show you guys, basically we're using dishwater to irrigate these trees, which in turn turned out to be the most important part of the citric industry. And it started with a woman, an idea, a thought, and ultimately the United States Department of Agriculture adopting it, and boom, Riverside, California is born. Corona, Norco, everything you see in the general area of Moreno Valley, it all started because people like her and people who had the insight. They were very wealthy people, very educated, and sometimes just pure luck. You just never know where your life is going to take you. And so Miss Elisa Tidbits is a very, very fine representation of that on the tira. As you all know, you cannot have a beautiful citrus capital of the world, especially here in Riverside, if you didn't figure out how to transport the water. The water, the source of life for you, for me, for the trees, for everything. We could not survive without the water. And so once the perfect agricultural product had been found, which was the citrus industry, then Southern California's semi-arid Mediterranean climate provided a long growing season. Rainfall often sporadic, well aware of the potential profit from the citriculture cooperative association, irrigation district, and private companies began channeling waters from streams, lakes, wells, and reservoirs and canals throughout the state in a massive and expensive engineering feat to irrigate so that the citrus industry can boom to what it was because of people transporting the water. The water, you couldn't have what we have without the water. You know, thank goodness we have the Santa Ana River that flows right through Riverside, a vital, vital source. The Colorado River as well. And so people have always figured out different ways to channel water throughout our state, from the mountaintops, through the deserts, through the valleys. And so here, a very, very important pictures which we carry on to this day. And you see here what irrigation would have looked like at one point. Look at these pictures. I mean, just imagine, if you will, water coming from the mountain, coming down the well. You can see the efforts that they went through to irrigate these plants that we now know today as the orange, the tangerine, the kumquat, the grapefruit, the lime, the lemon. And it all started here in Riverside. The Transcontinental Railroad, as you know, playing a vital role in transporting the good. Now we have the products, now we're making the money, now we need to put track down so that we can get it to every corner of the nation who so much enjoy this beautiful fruit that had made its way from 5,000 years ago, ultimately in Riverside. 1873, Elisa Tidbits introduced what we know now as the Washington Navel Orange, adopted by the United States Department of Agriculture. And so, boom, we have the leading citrus industry on the tira. How you doing?
Killing it. Hi.
Good. My name is Ahmed Belloso. I have a show called California Foods Gold. We follow in the tradition of the late, great Hugh Hauser. I don't know if you know who that is.
I'm familiar.
You want to hear my Hugh Hauser impersonation?
Hit me.
Here we go. Well, here we are with
Adam Brodner.
Adam Brodner, and we're gonna show you fine folks at home another fine example of California Foods Gold, Citrus Foods Gold, here in Riverside, California, on the tira.
That was really good.
Really?